Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sarva Vedanta Siddhanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste, welcome. We are covering the last few verses on the chapter 4 of the Panchadasi. We saw last week the verse 52 to 54 that says, if you don't want liberation and die with desires, you may go to some heaven, but you will have to come back once your punya exhausts. No? And then it was presenting another concept that says that you're going to get bored of punya. Okay, so we are not going to challenge that statement. Eventually, you will find out that heavenly pleasures are defective. So here we can see that heavenly pleasures, meaning to say, when my mind is in a heavenly state, I experience some happiness, but as we know, the mind changes, and then I see that there is an inherent defect on any pleasurable experience because they are bound to change, they are bound to end. So there are several defects, but here it says heavenly pleasure, they are not going to solve the problem because they are bound to finish, because it's like a credit that you build, a karmic credit, that you start exhausting it, and then you have to come back here. And then there is the most important point here is, so since the problem is the desire for
Arlindo. Arlindo, can I tell you that maybe we are, I cannot, if Lynn can confirm me, but 62, 63, we are not, we covered this verse last time.
And then I was wondering, because there was something missing on my YouTube channel. Yeah.
And also, Arlindo, I can hear you very well. So maybe you can also have the video on. I don't know if others can hear you well, but I can hear you very well.
Okay.
So you can try if you want.
Thank you. I was about to ask you, but thank you for interrupting me. I don't like to repeat things over and over again. So the verse 62 to 63, one who understands that he or she is awareness should live in solitude and purify the mind by constantly applying self-knowledge until the mind keeps mum like a dumb person. So what is the meaning of this, until the mind keeps mum? So what is the meaning of this word mum? It is dormant. It's like you take anesthetic or you take a sedation, and then things are suspended. So until the mind is suspended, okay? And so you keep, and then you should live in solitude. Solitude means to say you have to still organize your life so that you don't associate with environments and people, place, circumstance, that could be a source of mental disturbance, because you want your mind clear so that your mind is not subject to rajas and tamas, because those are the moments that somehow some of those ignorance operate us, and then we see we are just caught up again with actions and having to deal with some results which are not good, you understand? Because If the mind is disturbed, our ability to interact and respond to what comes from the field, gets a little bit compromised. Our emotional center is going to be disturbed. Our discrimination is not going to be that clear, and then we are going to get in some sort of trouble. Okay, so the one who knows, the one who is a yoni, who knows that he is limitless consciousness, should live. She should live somehow, in a proper way that helps him or her to keep that knowledge clear, solid, firm, and always available. So if you understand the self-knowledge, the fructification of self-knowledge is a mind which is clear and focused, and able to neutralize challenge. Why are you going to create more challenge? By allowing your mind to become disturbed and making mistakes, and then creating more karma that you're going to have to go back and clear those karmas and so on. So no, the one who understands I am limitless awareness, and I still keep an eye on my mind. I want to keep my mind pure and clear. Oh, no, I understood. I am consciousness. Now I'm going to go back to samsara because, samsara does not touch me anymore. So I'm going to go to the pubs. I'm going to go to any kind of, these samsaric places, parties, and, why? Because now I have self-knowledge. No. So if you do that, there is a risk that your mind gets disturbed. And when you see this self-knowledge is not available when you most need it, you understand? So we need to be very careful. I already told you, some of you maybe, the story of a guy I met. He was coming from the Buddhist circle, and he got into having this spontaneous Nirvikalpa Samadhi, and he was put on the stage as an enlightened one, and he was the guru there. But then he started enjoying life and got into a relationship, and then that kind of karma started bringing conflicts, and then his girlfriend lost him, and then immediately he had doubts about his self-knowledge, and people saw him all freaked out, start pulling him from the pedestal and say, there is something wrong with you, you are not really enlightened. So all these things come because somehow we need to keep harmonized, we need to harmonize our lives with the scriptures, with Dharma, with these cosmic laws and so on, so that our mind is fit to hold this knowledge. We cannot just say, oh, now I am consciousness, now I can do anything. When we say that, and then we are setting ourselves up for more conflict and karma. And this solitude does not necessarily mean living alone, but one appreciates living alone. You understand? One appreciates living alone more than being among people. So I think I mentioned to you last week that I have to travel. Tomorrow, very early morning, I'm traveling. And I do that because it is my son, my grandchild, and they are going back to the USA. I don't know when I'm going to see them again. And I'm going to go there to say goodbye to them. But I'm not very excited. I like my mattress, my home, my peace in nature. And now I have to go through all of these things and get there and be among other people who are not interested in this kind of conversation. Then I have to keep the conversation on that level. And then, but we do that sometimes to fulfill some of our dharmas, some of our roles, with a certain spirit of sacrifice, but not a big deal. But it's not like to be totally alone, but one absolutely enjoy. The solitude does not hurt when you are happy within your self-knowledge, It hurts when your happiness is dependent on somebody else. But once you are really holding this knowledge, you know that you are the very source of happiness and peace. and then it is a very contented solitude. So this is the solitude that the Swami means here. Né? And then purifying the mind by constantly applying self-knowledge until it's no longer necessary. Okay, so you heard us saying sometimes that there is no such a thing as 100% purification. But anyhow, whatsoever quote unquote sadhana that the yoni does is a effortless sadhana, that the mind keeps purifying, the yoni looks and sees, there is still some reaction here, there is some contraction there, and this and that. But the yoni does not even care much, because I keep these teachings, this knowledge alive, and I keep association with the scriptures, and I observe that my simple association, the mere association with the scriptures, by sharing, by reading, by studying, I see that this purification, it takes place spontaneously, naturally, you know. So one should purify, never give up the idea of observing the impurities of the mind and inviting them to go by applying self-knowledge any and every time these impurities come into play. So it's all about that. Until the mind is extensive, very much purified, okay? So self-knowledge or enlightenment is not 100% purification. It's not a state of the mind. You know, the state of mind is a byproduct of self-knowledge. Self-knowledge is a hard and fast understanding in regards to what you are, okay? That's simple. You have a doubtless, and if you don't really look and take care of your mind, even though you have a good self-knowledge, but then if the mind needs purification and you don't want to look after that aspect, so these unconforming reactions based on self-ignorance, okay, are going to undermine my confidence in my self-knowledge. This is unavoidable, you understand? And you're going to start doubting, and moksha comes with a doubtless self-knowledge. If you start doubting your self-knowledge because you are overreacting for some things here and there, and that could become a problem, because self-knowledge needs to be a doubtless self-knowledge. Then there is a commentary here. The mind of the yoni may modify in contact with your objects, but the ripples of the modification do not create emotional, violent reactions, let's say. So it sometimes does, you understand? So I have seen some yonis having strong reactions, okay? And I myself may have some strong reaction. It comes more often with my dear wife, because as the proverb says, if you want to know if Claudio is a yoni, go and talk to his girlfriend. So if you want to know if Arlindo is a yoni, go and talk to Sylvia, because they know how to press our buttons and produce a certain emotional reaction. But as we hear, as I say, the recovery time is very short. Okay, frequency, intensity, and time recovery, the recovery time. So the yoni recover very quickly and say, oh my God, this still there producing this. Oh, it had to come from my wife. It only happens when I am interacting with the wife. And then the yoni says, so I need to give up this relationship, you understand? Because it brings to surface some strong reactions here. So now emotional reactions, they may come up, especially for a yoni who is a householder. If the yoni is in the ashram, and he may have some strong reactions, you know. So on my days with Papaji and Ramana Maharaj, I bought most of all his books, and I was there looking those books. So one of them was titled Day to Day with Bhagwan. That they were just exposing some of those gossips around Ramana Maharaj. According to Ramji, the very, very controversial gossips they were censoring, but some gossips were still there in those books. And there they were showing that sometimes Ramana Maharaj was becoming a little bit uptight when he saw that some grains of rice was being wasted. You understand? He used to be a little bit nervous about that and give a little bit of a hard time. And I don't know, Papaji went there, stayed some time, picked up some of that. Papaji used to hate seeing us waste anything. Papaji used to call people to sit to see if he would manage to pass to the person a certain experience that I am the self. And then sometimes Papaji would say, take a piece of paper here and write down this. And then the person would take a big piece of paper, and Papaji used to say, don't waste paper, don't waste it. And then he used to take a sheet of paper and cut in half, cut in quarter, a small piece right here. You understand? Don't waste it. So we all have our vasanas, and these simple tendencies may create some irritations here and there. You understand? But it's not a big deal. Well, it's not a big deal. One of the most amazing gossips or situations I saw with Papaji was there was a strange, weird, very big guy visiting there. And the people around Papaji, those bodyguards of Papaji, they were a little bit nervous or concerned with this guy because he was kind of weird. And one day this guy managed to sit in front of Papaji, but come. And then there was a moment that the guy started losing, and he went and he started hugging, but tightening Papaji like that, very, very strong. And then the bodyguards went there to remove this guy because he was unpredictable, more or less, And then, how Papaji was behaving? He was laughing, he was laughing so much all through that experience. And that says a lot about his knowledge or his dispassion, He's having a good time, having a big laughter, and the devotees very concerned about this guy, giving a bear kind of hug on Papaji, So the mind of the realized person may modify, but the recovery is quick, the frequency is very low, and the depths, the I would say frequency, the intensity is less as well. Oh, and here it says, if they do have a reaction, the waves, the mental irritation, subsides very quickly because the vasanas causing that kind of reaction, they are there being right on the spot, neutralized by the self-knowledge, because if the self-knowledge is firm and available and at our disposal 24/7, very quickly, the yani recovers. Okay, it's all about that. The following verse 64, with the direct knowledge of the insubstantiality of the phenomenal world, arise the profound bliss of non-duality. So this is a very experiential verse. It talks about the parokshayana, the direct self-knowledge. The direct self-knowledge it's linked. It's a byproduct of the understanding that the world of objects they are not really real, and they do not contain the happiness that everybody is searching for. They do not contain the bliss that we are all searching for. So we have a direct knowledge. The direct knowledge develops or converts itself into dispassion, okay? And then the dispassion is based on the understanding that there is nothing in the phenomenal world. Of course, objects have a certain utilitarian purpose or values, but nothing beyond that, meaning to say they're never going to resolve my mind, they're never going to make me really happy and permanently happy, okay? So I understood the insubstantiality. The insubstantiality is based on the teachings that the happiness is not in the object. So it's a basic teaching that that presents the irrefutable logic that proves that the happiness is not in the object. So this knowledge is so clear. And then the Jnani, who has this direct knowledge, does not give any more space for this stupid vasan that say, yes, but that object may solve my problem once for all. If I find my dear, soulmate, or if I find, my millions of dollars, or whatever, and then I'm going to be set and happy for the rest of my life. So this self-knowledge should produce a certainty in respect to the fact that only myself am a source of bliss, a source of peace, a source of satisfaction. So we understood that the objects, they are not a source of joy. And I am the source of joy because I am Purna. Nothing can be added, nothing can be subtracted from me because I am consciousness. So, and then out of that understanding, out of that vairagya, that dispassion, the Jnani, within the mind of the Jnani arises a bliss of understanding of myself as Purna. So here we have to understand Purna as non-duality, a wholeness, fullness, completion. Purna is Purna because it's one without anything beyond itself. There is nothing but myself, consciousness. So I am Purna, meaning to say I am non-dual. Now this knowledge, this very clear knowledge in regards to of my nature, of non-dual Purna, non-dual completion, produce a sense of satisfaction. But this satisfaction is no longer linked to what I have, what I do not have, what I try to have. It is a byproduct of this profound, clear, and firm understanding. Okay, this understanding is going to eliminate or neutralize or minimize any ripples of mental disturbance caused by this residual ignorance that may say, but this, but a trip to India, but this, but that. You say, I'm not criticizing Mark's trip to India because one needs to be somewhere. But why not to change the setting sometime? But if one goes to India because say, so now there, maybe I'm going to have something that's going to make me permanently happy, you understand? No, we move around, we do things, we have some experience, but from the standpoint that I know that I am already whole, full, and complete because I am limitless, free consciousness. So there are no longer fantasies. The commentary, the mind is no longer disturbed by fantasies. Fantasies are desires. Desires that pops up, they sit in the causal body, subconscious mind, they appear in the conscious mind, in the subtle body, and then one has to have the discriminating power to say, no. Mr. Maya, the greatest illusionist and trickist, you don't deceive me anymore. I know that there is nothing in the world that is going to complete me because I am already complete. Completion is my nature. I have accomplished completion by understanding that I'm already whole and complete because I am non-dual Purna. So this understanding is going to be there, killing, just destroying any fantasies because desire begins with an idea, an idea on the fantasy level. And then we start entertaining these ideas, and then we start building an emotion around those fantasies. And then when we see those fantasies are going to drive us into samsara and create disturbance, unavoidably. So the mind is no longer disturbed by these subtle desires. Sometimes, however, the realization of the insubstantiality of the world gives rise to a depressing experience of emptiness, because the knower of emptiness, which is fullness itself, is not taken into account. Okay, so I had a personal satsang with someone yesterday about that. Someone who comes from the Buddhist, Buddhism, and he has this notion that reality is emptiness, nothingness, and so on. So the idea that now the world is basically as good as non-existent. Nothing contains really the happiness I'm looking for, and yet I'm not finding any fullness, any happiness, any satisfaction, because I am devoid, I am nothingness, you understand? So this concept of nothingness does not resolve the mind of the individual on the experiential, because to begin with, emptiness is an object, is absent of tangible objects, as I like to put. Okay, and then nirvikalpa samadhi is even more of experience of non-duality, in which even the experiencer is no longer there, but there is some level of experiencing there that in retrospect remember that experience. So it's all duality. This notion of emptiness or nothingness is a projection, because all of that is happening within consciousness, you understand? So there is no point of stopping there in the empty mind. When the mind is empty of tangible objects, the mind has to be direct in the light of the teachings to the fact of its fullness as limitless consciousness, which is, by the way, the only reality. All this presence of objects and absence of objects happens within consciousness, which is the fullness of existence, which is the only reality, okay? So objects may appear in it, and then it appears within the light of conscious existence, which illumines and reveals object. Absence of objects appears again within the light of consciousness that illumines and reveals the absence of objects, you understand? But the whole thing is to realize that I am not neither the presence of objects, I'm neither the emptiness of no object, I'm the light in which the presence and the absence of this universe, even of the duality, experiencer and object of experience, because the experiencer happens within the light of my consciousness. The experience happens within the light of my consciousness, and I am full. There is no question of going into depression once you get into Vedanta, because the full consciousness in which this emptiness is happening is definitely taken into account, because Vedanta begins from that standpoint. Your fullness, everything is happening within the scope of your limitless conscious existence. So the experience of emptiness leads to an experience of bliss. If the world is meaningless, it can do nothing to harm or satisfy you. So the experience of emptiness usually leads to the bliss of self-knowledge. Yes, but this bliss of self-knowledge needs to be done by understanding that I am the fullness, not the emptiness. I am that which pervades the entire universe and beyond universe and so on. So the experience of deep meditation may lead, I hate to say usually, not all the time. A lot of the time people get stuck in emptiness, okay? There are millions of people searching that got stuck into emptiness, to my take. So it may lead to self-knowledge, and then with self-knowledge, any possible sense of meaninglessly, in respect of why I'm here, what is this, everything is nothing. So all of those concepts are going to be dissolved to the extent that I realize my fullness, my completion, I'm the only reality, you understand? And then there is a satisfaction, a succession derived of my sense of limitless. My nature is limitless and never affected by the presence or absence of objects. Okay, these are subtle points that we are looking into in a more subtle level, which is very important for us and for whosoever may find this video sometime in the future. If the world is meaningless, it can do nothing to harm or satisfy you. Yeah. So this is, you begin by understanding that the world is not intrinsically containing the happiness, and it cannot give us joy and cannot give us suffering. But if I take the world to be a source of happiness and suffering, and then the world is going to really affect me, and I'm going to be enslaved by the notion that I have to attract objects that produce satisfaction and reject the object that produce dissatisfaction. Are you all with me? Any complaints? Nobody felt offended, huh? That's good to have a conversation with qualified Vedantins. The following verse: I stand and concentrate study on the scriptures, and discussion with the teacher leads to the gradual demise of passion for objects. Okay, so another angle here. So we keep our work, okay, steadily, consistently, systematically. So I'm just going back again and again to the scriptures that disclose to me my limitless, free, and blissful nature. So I keep doing that because I understood that that's the only way out of suffering, the only way out of samsara. And then I have to keep association with the scriptures, with the help of Guru, and then I have to take advantage and of the presence of a living Guru, which is different than from a dead Guru, in the sense that a living Guru, with a living Guru, we have the possibility of directly clear our doubts. So, and then discussion with the Guru, this association with the scriptures / Guru leads to a gradual demise of passion for objects, okay? Because the knowledge is going to become so clear that the objects are now going to resolve my mind, resolve my life. It's a trick, okay? I need to somehow assimilate properly. And for that, I have to stay focused on the scriptures and stay associated with the Guru, because gradually it's going to develop this passion. This passion cannot be developed by suppression. This passion is going to be developed by understanding that I am the only source of happiness, and the world, although is belonging to a secondary order of reality, we've seen that secondary order of reality, the configurations, they all serve a certain purpose. They have some utilities, but yet they are not source of happiness in the fundamental sense of happiness. Fundamental sense of happiness, is a peace and satisfaction that does not depend on any happening. So this is the happiness that we are working for, which does not depend on happenings. Happenings are objects, and then again, I'm depending on favorable objects of experience to resolve my mind. So I want to resolve my mind independently of the circumstance of the Dharma field, of the field of objects, you understand? So I want to be free and independent, because I heard the scriptures say that I am free and independent of the experience I have of the world. So I want to put it to the test. So in order to put it to the test, I have to really understand and assimilate it clearly what it means to be free and independent from my experience. It simply means I need to shift my identification from the mind, which is not free and independent from the experience, okay, that it takes, to consciousness that is free and independent from the experience of the body-mind. Okay, so you need to do that shift. And that shift is only possible to the degree that I really understand all the logic presented by Vedanta, which is all based on examining and re-examining our experience in the light of the teachings until we say, yes, it's amazing, but I haven't learned it anywhere, and I never thought on those terms, but it is a fact. I am consciousness, and I have never changed in this life experience, in this life, in this incarnation. I have never changed. You understand? And now I know it somehow experientially, but I know it by the logic, by analyzing my experience. Well, dispassion and discrimination are the first two Ds, two absolutely essential qualifications for inquiry. So dispassion and discrimination. So we need to have discrimination to move away from the world as a source of solution for the human condition. And then I have to move away from the world and then associate to the scriptures and to the teachers. So this requires already good punya karma, spiritual punya, and which means a certain discrimination. Now, finally enough, I understood the happiness is not out there in the world, because even very successful people, they are still miserable, and we know so many, So you observe things that are so obvious. So you already exercise certain discrimination. And then what's happening? So I often put the discrimination and dispassions are again like the two sides of the same coin, or the two wings of the same bird. So as I discriminate, and then more and more I develop this passion towards the object, and passion towards satya, passion towards the self, the only reality and the only real true source of satisfaction and peace. So this passion for the objects, passion for the self. Passion for the self is mumuksutva, an intense desire for yourself to realize clearly, okay, and claim, yes, I am the self. You understand? So this is the passion for the self, desire, mumuksutva. So mumuksutva is again the other aspect, desire for the self, passion for the self. We have discrimination, dispassion, and desire for the self, passion for the self. And in between there, we need to control our sense organs, the organs of actions, and control our mind, which is more difficult. There are some disciplines that are the upasana aspect of the Vedanta, that need to be applied to help in this process of preparedness, so that we can hold this knowledge and destroy once for all this ignorance, in regards to the world as a genuine source of peace and satisfaction. The following verse. If sometimes, owing to actions performed in previous births, the mind of a contemplative person is distracted by desire, it may be brought back to a peaceful state by the constant practice of self-knowledge, the same concept. And here it's just bringing up the fact that it's very common. We have some vasanas, okay, which are results of actions performed in previous births, that they are going to be extroverting the mind. They are going to be pushing the mind, bits and pieces of residual ignorance that sometimes comes from the time we were not wise, and from the time we were born within other instruments of experience, different births. So we have these vasanas. Yeah. So we have these vasanas, which are impressions, tendencies, propensities left behind from previous actions or previous births. Yeah. And then the mind of a serious contemplative person is distracted by those tendencies, those desires. Okay. So, and then what are we going to do? We may bring back, a mind has to be brought back to a peaceful state by a constant study, practice of self-knowledge, application. Nididhyasana is the same concept, present with different words. We need to keep doing our nididhyasana because we don't want to fall into those cases that, no, now I got the knowledge. I have someone here in Brazil. This person is very, very famous. It's much more known in Brazil than me. And she was somebody who studied with me, you understand? But she presents Vedanta. Nowadays, she does not present Vedanta. She says Vedanta is wonderful. Professor Alindo is the best Vedanta teacher in Brazil, and so on. But I don't agree with everything that Vedanta says, okay? And I keep people, my students show me what she says here and there, blah, blah, blah. But the fact is that because she lowered the bar, she became famous because she's selling the idea that, you are consciousness, this and that, and you can do whatsoever you want because you are consciousness, basically. No, it's a clear example of someone who is going to compromise the teachings, lowering the teachings to a level in which it becomes popular and has appeal to people, you understand? And then the guru becomes famous because it has corrupted the teachings, or at least this person say, no, I don't agree with everything that Vedanta says, okay? So we have these tendencies, yeah? And then what we have to do, we need to keep doing our nididhyasana, okay? We don't want to say, okay, I got it, and now I have these vasanas for the world, but I know that I am consciousness, I am free, I am satya, mithya is almost as good as non-existence, therefore I can enjoy sex and other things in the world, okay? And why? Because I am satya, and mithya is just an illusion. Yeah? So no, you have to be honest and then bring your mind back to the teachings until those vasanas, okay, that come from many times previous births, are not there, producing these binding desires, and then the ego is very easily seduced, like politics nowadays, that they are bribed so easily, So the ego is going to be bribed and say, yes, of course, I am the great enlightened, I am free, and therefore I can take this bribe. Let me go and do whatsoever I want in the world. Now you stay with the self-knowledge because you don't want your knowledge to be one thing and your life to be another thing, because furthermore, sooner or later, you're going to be caught up with suffering again, okay? Because if you invest in the world, you're going to experience the sickness, the illness called samsara. Raya, do you agree with those things? Or
yes, it's something that begins to happen. You see that if you don't conform your life to the self-knowledge, you get distracted, and I think you become more sensible. You do certain things and then I can't anymore. That's like a inner I don't know the word, radar interior.
Yeah.
Naturally goes on.
Every time we do something that pulls us back, that somehow undermines, our knowledge, There is something inside that say, this was a mistake, and then never again. We all experienced that with some vasanas or addictions we had in the past, that we say, no, I won't do it again. But then you see, you do it again until you no longer do it, because you have connect the dots, and now it's so clear. So Vedanta connect those two dots, the dots. So the world is empty. It does not contain happiness. And anything that you go there, invest in the world, there's a place to get your permanent happiness, is going to create you more of a vasana until you hurt it's almost as if we are banging our head against the wall. And then in the beginning, it's okay, but then slowly you say, no, I can't hurt myself any longer, I don't want to be suffering any longer. Right, Claudio? The liberated person. The following verse, taking a stand in awareness, the more you assert your freedom, wholeness, completion, oneness, to yourself, the more clearly you see the absurdity of the idea that you depend on objects to be whole, full, and complete. Yeah? So why I need to chase objects? Chasing objects is already a source of unhappiness, and then not gain the object produce even more unhappiness, not accomplishing my desired object. And then when I get it, I experience a certain peace, but yet there is that nagging voice that says, oh my God, I may lose it at any time. And then when you lose it again, you experience unhappiness. So it becomes clear, the knowledge, and then you see the absurdity or stupidity of being again and again invested in the world of objects as a means to be happy, satisfied, peaceful. Yeah. So you have done so many times, and now, no, it's enough. I have got it. Okay, nothing is going to resolve this problem. I look into my neighbor. He is a multi-millionaire. He has everything. The family has everything going for them, and yet there is nobody there who can offer even a smile. They seem to be very miserable people. You observe people, you observe yourself, you connect the dots, and then you say, no, this is absurd, okay? So I cannot make myself dependable on the world of objects because it does not work, okay? Even if you have a large bank account, that bank account is not going to translate as happiness. If bondage is a joke, claiming that you are liberated is a joke. So this translation here, I would actually like to see the original verse, what it says, because this is we are following the book of Ramji that he added the transcriptions of Swami Paramarthananda at the time. So if bondage is a big mistake, or if bondage is unreal, because I can never really be bound to anything, because things cannot stick on that which I am consciousness. Nothing can bound, nothing can attach itself to me, because I am Satya, and objects of experience are Mithya. So if bondage is not real, claiming that I am liberated is also unreal. That's the point here, okay? So I would put it more on those terms. So the idea that I'm bound to the world is absurd once you came to Vedanta, okay? How can I be bound to the world if I am a limitless conscious existence, right? So, and I don't really live, there are two orders of reality. One is absolute reality. The other is an appearance that, of course, we see in reality. And reality is just free and independent from these superimpositions or projections or reflections that, of course, we see in reality, the absolute reality. So if I know that I am whole, full, and complete, yeah? If I take my stand in awareness, the more I assert this, the more I see the absurdity that I am bound to object. No, I can never be bound to object because I am consciousness. Okay, so nothing bounds to consciousness. So, and then if bondage is not real, liberation is also not real. Okay, so this is the point here. Yeah, but we don't want to throw the baby with the bathwater before things are clearly understood here. Okay, so there is actually no bondage, but there is such a thing as psychological human suffering. We know that there is such a thing as psychological human suffering. The Jiva Atma, in its absolute nature, essential nature, free nature, is not bound to anything, it's not dependent on anything. But ignorance compels him to believe that, yes, I'm bound to the world and I need the world to be satisfied, peaceful, and happy. So ignorance is a fact because it is experience, although it's based on something that is unreal. But it's unreal only when ignorance is removed by knowledge, you understand? So, and then to say that liberation is unreal, no, a liberated person is unreal from the standpoint of consciousness, because, or the Yanni, they says, no, I was never liberated because I was already free before. I was already liberated from the get-go, from the very beginning. I was never attached, okay? So Vedanta in the Tattva says is the accomplishment of the already accomplished, okay? Is the gain of that which was already gained. You want to gain something, you want to gain liberation, okay? You want to gain detachment, but you are never attached and you are all the time free. But ignorance is there, avidya. Avidya dominates the mind of most human beings, and that is a fact experienced by most human beings, okay? And then we have to be careful with the notion that the liberate is unreal. It's unreal from the standpoint of the ultimate absolute reality, but from the standpoint, from the angle of the jiva's suffering in samsara, liberation is the very, very important tool. Okay, we see Mitya, liberation is the gate, is the carrot, that's going to, conduce us to in the path of removing these self-limiting notions in regards to what I am. You understand? So that's one thing I want to emphasize here. Such a claim means that you don't know that you are awareness. This is a fact. If you see someone says, yes, I am enlightened, yes, I am liberated, and so on, without explaining that I was never not liberated, you understand? So that's why when we put things, in my case, I don't like to say that I'm Yanni, but I imply in my talks that I have this Yana. Yanni is the one who has the self-knowledge, you understand? We always put in terms of having the Yana, having the self-knowledge, or not having the self-knowledge. Does the self-knowledge liberates the jiva? Yes, it frees the jiva from suffering, because suffering was a byproduct of self-ignorance. Now, having self-knowledge, the knowledge in respect of my true nature, and then this suffering begins to dissipate gradually, but steadily and surely. Yeah? So, and then one should never claim I am liberated. Oh, I got moksha. I heard someone that most of us know saying like, oh, I got moksha. Ooh, moksha. What is moksha? Moksha is liberated, liberation. So how free we are, you understand? And free from what? Yeah? So I'm free from my ignorance. Then what you have is self-knowledge, and this self-knowledge is self-knowledge firm? Yes, good for you. It's firm. And then bits and pieces of ignorance very rarely troubling you. Yes, here and there troubles me, it's okay, but I recover very quick. Okay, this is a straightforward, honest statement, you understand? So statement. But if someone claims that I am a great moksha man or moksha woman, it means that you are suffering of enlightenment sickness. You understand? So what is enlightenment sickness? Is the idea that my jiva is a special jiva, is an enlightened jiva, you know? So I, as consciousness, I am not jiva, and I was never attached to anything, and never anything was attached to me. Okay? Taking a stand in awareness means asserting it quietly to oneself out of understanding, not publicly. So this one, okay, this is a commentary of James Watts, Ramji, not the verse themselves. So take a stand in awareness. So taking a stand in awareness, as the statement says, no. So I take a stand in awareness as awareness. Otherwise, I'm just standing in awareness, and now there is me in the awareness. No, I take a stand in awareness as awareness means claiming my true nature. And when we claim our true nature, we claim it to ourselves. You understand? We do not need to, although in the beginning, depending on the vasanas operating, you know, one may feel like making some publicity to some close friends. I remember that from my days with Osho Rajneesh and this and that, I had some good, very close friends that they seemed to be serious about getting self-knowledge, but it was not really the case. And I can see by the gurus and the teachers that they kept associating until recently, because I lost contact with these people. But I had one guy that was almost a brother to me, and we used to say, so if I get it first, I will contact you, and if you get, you contact me. Yeah, I had two guys that we had this agreement. You know, I was a little bit obsessed with this thing of self-realization. So, and in both cases, one was a friend of mine, an Italian guy living there in close to Rishikesh on the mountains with a certain guru, meditating. I had still connection through Facebook with his girlfriend. And then I said, I'm going to send this message. I sent this message. And of course, my friend did not like to hear that, because he was working so hard to get enlightened. And I was in the world running business and restaurants and doing many things, you know, and he was not happy to hear that. And then another one was a friend in Brazil that I said that, you know, and then he also overreacts, says, I saw some of your satsang, man, you seems you in a good space. And then later on, he just never made contact again. Because if the ego is there, you know, and then I let us say, what a mistake to tell people that I got something such as self-recognition, you know. So it's better to stay quiet, because you're going to provoke an overreaction to some of your friends. So if they note something, if they ask something, you may talk about, you know, your knowledge or your experience, if your knowledge is based on experience. So taking a stand in awareness as awareness means claiming, yes, okay, but you need the knowledge. You need to go through this body of knowledge, the teachings. You need to go through the teachings until you can accept it fully and embrace it. This means claiming, yes, I surrender to those final declarations. Okay, now I understood what the Upanishads were pointing to. Yes, I don't change with my experience. Yes, I'm not bound to any time. I was never born. I will never die, so on. So this is claiming when all doubts are removed. Okay, and then I claim to be awareness, okay? Then taking a stand is just claiming again and again. Yes, I know I am consciousness. Sometimes I forget, but one day this self-knowledge is going to be not subject to forgetfulness. It's going to be so firm, clear, and no longer subject to doubt, okay? So this is claiming. You do it for yourself, to yourself. You don't make any advertisement about that. Like religious people whose faith is uncertain, many individuals who have experienced self-experience or some glimpse of self-knowledge feel more confident in their knowledge if they can convince others. This is a nice piece of psychology, okay? First, the person had a certain experience, and then there is still a certain sense of smallness and incompletion, inadequacy. That's going to look for compensation by telling some people, "Oh, I got it," you know. So now, you know, I'm not a small little stupid guy, okay, inadequate guy. So I got it, you know. I'm a wise spiritual person at this point. You know? So the person has some sense of inadequacy, yeah? And then the self-knowledge is vague, is abstract, is unclear, is based on some experience and some hearsays, believe books that you read. That was my case, you know. So and then I try to convince others about what I'm saying, so that I can convince myself as well that I am a great yoni. You understand? So the best thing, as Papaji used to say, keep quiet, keep quiet, keep quiet. It was one of his good advice. Asserting one's wholeness stops when the knowledge is a doubtless self-knowledge. So when we say claiming, you know, we claim it until it's no longer necessary. Yeah? Imagine if once I understood that I am a man and not a woman, okay, nowadays it seems that it's not a good idea to say it publicly. But if I get the knowledge at a certain point in my life that I am a man and not a woman, imagine if I have to pass the rest of my life say, I am a man, not a woman. I'm a man, not a woman. I'm a man, not a cat, not a dog. You don't, because the knowledge I am a human being was firmly assimilated, completely assimilated. So there is no doubt. So I don't need to be asserting or making a standing or claiming it again and again. So once it's a doubtless certainty of self-knowledge, so you stop the sadhana of claiming again and again. Claim is good when we are in the process. And I remember even much before self-recognition took place, I had the intellectual understanding that I was consciousness and I was free. Everything is consciousness and I am that consciousness. I heard that at the beginning from the Sagadatta Maharaj in 91 when I left Osho Rajneesh and I got into Ramana and Nisargadatta. So in those final declaration, você é aquilo, you are that consciousness. So it was really getting roots. And I had that certain understanding. And then I had to keep claiming again and again, no, I am limitless consciousness. I used to go and fall very badly on my nose, you know, in stupid karmas and decisions and moved by desires and aversions. And then when I was there suffering emotionally, I used to say, fuck, sorry for the fuck, I'm not gonna cut it. So I would say like, so what I'm gonna do now, you know, I mean, I am free, limitless consciousness, but yet I behaved in a way that now I'm suffering. So I used to claim, I say, no, I don't care how many times I have to make mistake, how many times I need to suffer, how many times I have to do things that somehow are contradictory to what I know I am free limitless consciousness and everything is conscious, I still do not accept any other thing. I am consciousness, and this is claiming for as long as it is needed to be claimed, asserting I am consciousness. Ignorance is still operating here again and again, is great trouble. Again and again compels me to act in a certain way that makes me feel I'm betraying my self-knowledge. I used to understand it on that level in those days. I'm betraying my self-knowledge, but I never felt like, okay, I give up self-knowledge. Say, no, I am consciousness as reality. And if I behave like a stupid human being, that is self-ignorance, but that does not change my mind. I claim again and again, I am consciousness. I am that consciousness. I am that consciousness. This is claiming until it is no longer necessary. And that means, and then the knowledge is doubtless, firm, clear, and beyond the need of claiming. Okay, so we're going to stop here today. And you guys have been very quiet. Anybody has anything to say?
I got a doubt now.
Okay, let's go for it.
You said when the self-knowledge is doubtless, you don't need to claim it anymore.
Yeah.
But it's possible if it is doubtless for you, you understand, you have no doubts about the fact, right? But you still forget because you get caught up in emotions and situations, and you have to remember, oh, this is not real.
Yeah.
I am free, I am consciousness, but you don't have doubts about the fact anymore. But this
that's a very, very good question, and that is what distinguishes the doubtless intellectual self-knowledge, which is the base. This intellectual self-knowledge has to be there, and that was the conviction I had much before self-recognition. Something was telling me that I was consciousness and not the mind and the body. So this is an intellectual, but this intellectual self-knowledge needs to be converted or assimilated or internalized or integrated in a way that your life, your knowledge are the same, you understand? And that is a gradual process that Swami Paramarthananda likes to put into conversion. You need to convert this intellectual, doubtless self-knowledge into emotional, doubtless self-knowledge. Understand? Or in another language, you need to convert this self-knowledge, okay, in a way that you can experience a very extensive, resolved mind experiencing, the bliss which is a byproduct of this doubtless intellectual self-knowledge that spread roots in the emotional, mental center of the Jiva Atma. So it begins in the intellect, and then it grows roots, and then it begins transforming. The life of the individual needs to be transformed. It has to grow roots in the mental, emotional center, because it's through this center that we receive the stimulus coming from the world. And then you have to see the way we respond to those stimulus, So if we respond with a lot of negative or violent reactions or biting, violent emotional reactions and so on, and then it means that my doubtless intellectual self-knowledge until requires more better assimilation or conversion. Okay, that is all said in the language of Ranji, is the fructification of self-knowledge, which he, at certain time he used to put as self-actualization, self-realization, self-actualization. So those are just words, you understand? The bottom line is that this self-knowledge, even if it's doubtless, it's going to complete its purpose when it transforms the way we experience ourselves and the world around us, you understand? And then our knowledge and our life, they are properly harmonized. Very good question, Laird.
Right, thank you.
Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, my good friends. Thank you, Lord. Namaste. We meet again. Let's see. Next Tuesday. Lynn is not besides. I'm traveling, so I'm tempted at this point to cancel our class of Tuesday, so that way I can.
Thursday.
Huh?
Thursday.
Oh, yes, sorry, Thursday. So Lynn not being there, it makes me more tempted to cancel our Thursday. That way I can stay and dedicate my time to my son, his family, and my granddaughter. But I will see the situation, because sometimes he wants me so much there, but sometimes I need my time. And once I want to stay away from samsara, I prefer to be doing what I love the best, which is sharing this self-knowledge. Okay, so I'm gonna let you guys know once I get there and I get a sense of how it's going to be the dynamics of my day-to-day there. Okay, I have to see when my granddaughter goes to the school and so on. Okay, once again, namaste. We talk again soon.
Thanks, Arlinda.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you, Lynn.
Bye
Thank
now.
you.